Good evening, everybody. This is Hunter here, and let's just get this over with. I'm Hunter, and I'm here with Scott. Scott, how you doing, bud?
I've been better.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm sorry. Yes. So we're here to talk about Transformers: The Last Night, which you know good and goddamn well is not the last movie. So apparently, the rumor is they have, I think they said an additional 17 of these planned out for like the next decade, some shit like that, including spin-offs. Oh
Did
yeah,
you
we're
say
getting a
17?
Oh yeah, 1-7. Yeah, 17 of these shits planned out
This is
apparently.
on
And
you, people. You hear me? This is
yeah,
on you. This is on the view. This is on the listener right now. You're paying money to watch this. That's on you. You're feeling the fire. That's a little PSA for you guys.
no, you're totally right. And look, we'll just throw it out there. I mean, did we pay for this? Yes. I mean, because if I could have snuck in, I probably would have. But but honestly though, the thing is, if we are here to take the bullet for you guys, we are here to sit through this movie, hey, maybe it's good, wink, but but uh, but we're sitting through this movie so you guys don't have to. And I gotta be honest with you, Scott, I haven't liked any of these. I thought
Yeah.
the first one was okay, not great, but okay.
I feel like there's
It,
fake hype behind a lot of movies, and this is one of those movies.
that's fair. um so Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, the second one, is genuinely one of the worst movies I've ever seen. The moment you see, the hot chick turn into a Decepticon, to the robot climbing a pyramid in Egypt having metal testicles, it's like, oh my god, it's like this is fucking shame. Like you know, terrible movie. And so I remember people were saying, "Oh, this is Michael Bay's last one. Did like maybe he'll learn?" You know, what is it gonna take for you guys to just realize that Michael Bay doesn't give a fuck? And you know what, Scott? You're totally right on your PSA. It's on the movie going public. I'll tell you. So look, you're in college. You've been going to school. I've gone to school. Colin's graduated and everything. This is what I was trying to explain to my friends. If you could write a term paper and just write "suck my balls" on it and get an A, why would you work any harder? Why would you do anything else? And to be totally honest with you, that's pretty much what Michael Bay has been saying for the last 5 movies is, hey, suck my balls. Oh, you're gonna go out and see this multiple times and make this a $1 billion franchise multiple times over? Oh, well, why would I learn? Why would I try to improve myself? So I can only be even so mad at Michael Bay
It's
because
just this is pure business. This is just these are one of those movies that are just purely business movies.
yeah, I mean, there's no love or anything behind these. And look, we reviewed, I think we reviewed two or three trailers they put out, and all we were saying is these look dumb. I was like, I don't know why anyone would expect anything less from this. So let's just jump in. So the plot for this is pretty fucking simple. Marky Mark is back once again playing Cade Yeager. I remember them saying he's from Texas, and yet he has a Boston accent. They just don't. They just gotta go whatever. Like who cares? But sure. So Mark Wahlberg plays Cade Yeager. He's back from the last movie, Age of Extinction, which oh God, I remember I hated that one too. But I mean, I might like this one. It could be. Pardon me, but uh, so he's back here. Basically, he's become almost like an Autobots hider, because now Transformers in general are
He's such
just
a bad
outlawed.
boy, isn't he, Hunter?
I know, God, he's so bad.
Just
But
hide
just bad.
robots.
Yeah, but just good enough that you think you could change him. But yeah. But so basically, he's become basically an Autobots like hider. So because Transformers are outlawed now by the government. There's some government agencies like the Transformers. I
Always the
there's like
government, right? God, fucking government, just
yeah.
ruining the fun things in life.
Yeah, well, I think that's what our president's doing right now. But anyways, but the government is trying to hunt Transformers down. So yeah, if you see one, they just pretty much shoot them on sight in theory. And so what's weird that they don't really explain is Mark Wahlberg's Cade. He was in the last movie, Age of Extinction. He helped save the world. Sure, but but I guess now he's developed this almost legendary like Robin Hood type status. Like, people, because they call him the legend. Like this little girl's like, "You're him. You're the legend." I went, "Wait, when did this happen?" Like, okay, so apparently people
Like,
don't
yeah,
think
yeah,
he
bro.
exists.
Whatever, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
say hi to your mother for me, alright?
Say hi to your mother.
But, oh God, this is, okay, I'm just gonna jump out. I fucking hated this. I don't care. I was trying to build suspense. God, these are so goddamn bad. But okay, so he's doing his hiding out Autobots thing. And then Optimus Prime turns bad, and so because of Quintessa, who is his maker, and so Optimus Prime is evil. Starts calling himself what was it called?
Oh God,
starts with an M.
Something Prime.
Yeah, it's not Optimus. I'm totally blanking right
X
now.
Prime. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Nemesis Prime. There you go.
Thank you. There you go. But
yeah, very original, by the way. Like, there's a lot of work went in. For having 4 writers, you would think they would come up with something a little bit better for this movie.
I know. So Scott, I'm gonna tell you, I was laughing 30 seconds in this movie. You know why? So they very quickly, by the way, they almost flash on the screen like blink if you miss it. A Michael Bay film. These are the writers, these are the producers. But did you notice that? Like how quickly they flash that shit? So they cut to the Paramount logo. The Paramount logo doesn't even disappear until you see an explosion. It's like 20 seconds into the movie. There's already an explosion. I went, my God. Michael Bay couldn't wait. He had the shakes and shit. He was like, I need an explosion. I need an explosion. There we go. So, and just, my God, man. And so the movie opens up in ancient times, like Knights of the Round Table times. And so Stanley Tucci playing Merlin, which I just went, come on, man. I was like, I know. I'm sure you could have... like, I know you needed to add a wing to your house, but come on now. So Stanley Tucci plays Merlin, and he's talking to this transformer that they don't even... It's just some random transformer. So Merlin basically says, hey, I'm a fraud. I've been telling people that, I'm a wizard. These people are dying, help me. And so this transformer just gives them the most powerful, basically, weapon in theory in the world. All right, here you go.
The power of creation, essentially.
Basically. And so then, and then the knights turn the tide in their battle, and da-da-da. And so...
because of the robot dragon, of course.
Yeah, exactly. A 3-headed robot dragon,
Excuse me, 3-headed.
Yeah, so... Okay, so as little as I've seen of the show, I've only seen the first season. Man, did the beginning not feel like they watched Game of Thrones and went, "How can we make this really bad?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And the opening scene could not have been like less intense. I felt like they tried this whole movie. They tried really hard to create this really intense, dark atmosphere. And I just never bought it from the very beginning. And that opening scene, there's like, we got to cash in on this Game of Thrones. Like people love, and this was probably where they came up with The Last Night. I'm sure is like, Middle Ages are coming back. People love that shit. Let's give them some sword and say that they fought with Lancelot and the group of merry men, and people will buy tickets to that shit. And apparently they did, but not as much as they normally have. Thank God.
True, but I just there's so we go in the present day. So Transformers are being hunted, and so Optimus Prime basically he brings back this. They're looking for the staff because since that agent creation can pretty much do whatever the fuck it needs to for the movie. Basically, they're gonna bring back the world of Cybertron and use Earth. Basically, so basically they're gonna drain, like the energy from Earth to turn it to Cybertron. That's the shorthand version. So, I will say, oh, by the way, full spoilers for this because we really have to go in full spoilers to really talk about how we felt about this. So, I will say this. Scott, there are a couple moments before I throw it to you. There are a couple moments that I have to say the action in this at points I went, wow, I can actually see what's happening. I can see the transformations. they use slow mo in this movie like a motherfucker. I have to
Yeah, they
apologize
do.
to Zack. I have to apologize to Zack Snyder because dude, I gave him a bunch of shit for Batman v Superman using slow mo. I'm sorry, Mr. Snyder. I am so sorry, sir, because damn, they probably use slow mo at least 15 times in this movie, easily, and it makes the movie probably an additional 15, 20 minutes,
Mhm.
and I might even there's no joke in that, so
Yeah, and in factor in like that was really the whole tone of this movie is like slow mo, metal verse metal, screen flares, like lots of CG. That was like kind of the feel of this movie, and it was not. The sound effects mixed with like it, I couldn't buy it. I couldn't really buy any of it, but could, usually Michael Bay movies, like you were saying, you can't really get a hold of them, and it's hard to kind of follow them. It's definitely easier to follow, except I could not tell which Transformer was which Transformer unless like they were like fat, which apparently robots are fat. It can be, or it was like a dinosaur or some sort of animal. I couldn't. It was hard for me to tell the difference between a lot of these, and like that kind of goes into the fight scenes where it was one of those things like that movies used to have. A lot of action movies used to have where they would just tirelessly shoot bullets at each other and nothing would really seem to hit, but
yeah.
like everybody was okay, but just like the battle was just raging for a while. And that's, I mean, that kind of we'll get into later towards the about this whole final scene and whatnot, but I don't know, it was a lot of show and not a lot of substance. And Mark Wahlberg fucking sucked in this movie. Like this was like this was not one of his better movies. It was he did not help this movie at all.
So you know what's funny is I agree with you for the most part. Mark Wahlberg, and honestly, and just to show how fair I was trying to be, I actually rewatched Age of Extinction on Friday night when I got home from work, and I just thought, God damn it, I'm gonna do this. So I actually watched Triple X and then I watched Age of Extinction, and I forgot Kelsey Grammer was in that movie. How fucking sad is that? But anyways, Mark Wahlberg, he didn't irritate me at first. For like the first 15 minutes or so, I went, okay, if he can just maintain this, then I'll be okay. But he couldn't, he couldn't help himself. He starts calling people. Okay, so I'm sorry, there's so much to touch on this. So I'm gonna start here. So we talked about Scott in the last trailer because I actually went back and listened to it. Isabella Moner, who played Isabella in the movie, she's the little Latina girl.
Yeah,
You
who's
know,
like 12 years old. All the kids in this movie are like at least under the age of 13. What are
yeah.
I,
So,
sorry, go ahead.
no, you're all good. So, I mean, the big thing I wanted to bring up on that is that they had that whole. You remember they had that whole ad campaign. Oh, fight like a girl, yeah, fight like a girl, and like, oh, girl
That's
power,
right.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I do remember
And
that.
and if you remember me saying, I said there is no goddamn way they won't fuck this up. There's no way that this little girl is going to be that relevant in the movie. She has maybe 15 minutes of screen time, and it's all pretty much at the beginning. But then the government allows her to go on this death mission,
I
and
thought
no one.
there was a point when Mark Wahlberg's character Cade is like, "Hey, stay here." She needs to stay basically in their junkyard where he lives, I guess. She has to stay there, and I thought for sure like things were gonna happen, but nothing really happens. I mean, obviously things eventually do kind of come to a fold, but like you don't get to see her do very much, and even during like this final battle scene, she's really kind of like nothing. She's not really the problem solver that she could have been. I feel like she could have been a lot, utilized a lot better in this.
What I think made me laugh too is that Mark Wahlberg's kid even asks her because she sneaks onto the helicopter, as they're going to the last battle, um and Mark Wahlberg goes, "Hey, like, what are you doing here?" and she genuinely says, and I quote, "I don't know." And I went, "Are you?" I just, I'll be honest with you, Scott. If I had popcorn, I would throw it in the air because I just went, really, like you nothing. That's you couldn't have given her a badass line like something like, "You guys need my help" or something. Even that, I mean, that's off the top of my head. That would have been better than "I don't know." And then she says, "This is a bad idea," and I was like, "No shit. Why did someone not say, hey, why is this little girl on this helicopter for this death mission, basically?" And and by the way, so she saves these kids who are fucking trespassing. Like, where were your parents? These kids, these like 3 or 4 kids, are just
And it's like the
wandering.
apocalypse apparently on Earth. I guess it's like robots have completely taken over. Is that how that works? I don't
So
know.
basically, going.
What's the state of Earth right now? I couldn't tell.
Well, I mean, Earth is clearly, they're like, oh, Transformers suck. Like
They're falling from the sky, right? That's the whole basis of
yeah,
this thing.
and so my first thought is, okay, if I mean, if you're the parents or whatever, where are the parents saying, hey, get your ass home so you don't, get caught by a random Autobot or whatever, or Decepticon? And these kids are just out wandering in this site where the government literally says, hey, don't go here, we'll arrest you.
They're going to check out this like ancient. I don't know if they're there just to kind of scavenge for shit or because that girl definitely lived out there.
Yeah,
With a transformer who I had to write it down was Canopy.
BB-8, BB-8.
No, not even that one. Canopy Transformer, which is the rock, literally the rock that she lived under at this like little like area you're not allowed to be in. Do you remember that where the very beginning, like she's hiding under, she's like has this little fort where she takes all those kids, like takes the kids when they're running away from the sentries, the security guys, security
Oh, okay,
robots.
yeah.
That whole thing is a transformer that gets killed or whatever, and that was like the last of her family. So yeah, there's so many question marks in this movie. Like that, we're just scratching the surface of all of the random things that happen in this movie and don't get addressed, and they it doesn't feel like a beginning. Tell me I'm wrong here, but it doesn't feel like a beginning to end movie. It feels like
No.
a connect the dots, a connect movies, one movie to another, and they just dive into it, and they don't really stop because there's got to be action, right? There's got to be some shit blowing up. You got to have some slow mo. You got to have like some screen flares. You got to have a bunch of just clusterfuck of action that
Yeah.
I don't it didn't feel like a whole movie. It just didn't feel like a whole movie. And even when they got to the climax of this movie, I was, I didn't care enough to enjoy it.
If I may. So the thing that just had me rolling my eyes. So Isabella, she saves, these dumbass kids. There's a black kid in there. You know good and goddamn well your mama taught you better than that. That was the one, like, the kids, like, I don't give a shit. I go where I want to go. And there's, like, giant signs saying, hey, kids, don't go here. Like, like Daniel Tosh bit. Hey, kid, count your losses. Like, don't, like, telling these kids to turn the fuck around. And so when a robot shows up, and then Mark Wahlberg shows up with some sort of like rocket gun, I guess, like a herd transformer, whatever, I guess. But the one thing that did make me laugh is Cade calls this one kid, like, he's like, hey, like, he calls this kid fat, which is mean, but I laughed really
Well,
hard.
this is Bro Wahlberg. Like this is definitely like
Yeah.
a Bro Wahlberg role. Like where he's kind of like lovable because he's stupid, but like he's also like he calls everybody dude and like bro and like he's got the long hair. He kind of like he's got the side to side walk like
Got
only
got a
short
leather
men have.
got a leather jacket, by the way, in what looks like really hot weather too, on top of
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
Yeah, I just he comes and helps save these kids and Isabella, and first off, the fact she has her own BB-8, which was just couldn't have been more blatant. I mean, it even looks like BB-8 except blue. Honestly, I just thought, man, you guys just do not give a shit. You're stealing from whatever the hell you want. So she sneaks back basically with Mark Wahlberg and finds out where he lives, which they don't explain, but whatever, I guess. Did he take her with him? I can't even remember. But anyways, she she goes, I don't want to leave. I want to I want to stay, and I'll fight them. And I was like, oh my god, this is just like, it's like, Scott, I swear you probably felt my eye roll from here in Reno, because god damn, just so I will say, man, there are a couple lines of dialogue that from Mark Wahlberg that made me kind of go, that wasn't badly delivered. I did get a chuckle out of where, and this was a point to bring some emotion in, and it kind of worked for me. I'm not gonna lie, because his daughter, his really hot exploited daughter from the last movie, she's off at college, and so since Cade is pretty much a fugitive, he can't call her without the government, kind of tapping his phone, which I thought was a very interesting kind of route to go with that. I went, oh, okay, that's interesting. And so,
No,
the girl,
no,
the girl,
I hated this part. I didn't like this part. I know where you're going with it. I'm sorry to interrupt, but like they have like a little like she right. You're talking about when she like calls him and he can't talk back to her.
I thought I don't know, man. That little scene that kind of worked for me, man.
I get it, but I feel like it was just a whole setup to draw the audience. Like this is our emotional part. Like this is why we love Mark Wahlberg. Like he's just our big lovable guy. He's our hero. Is everybody ready for this? He's got a daughter, somebody to care about. So I was not in the mood for this movie, I think, going in. So I wasn't down for all the bullshit that kind of comes with it, and I feel like it was just kind of a cheap tool to draw people in. Like I don't know. It was I could agree with you that it was kind of creative the way that they described it, but I mean it was just kind of a cheap tool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like. I'm grasping at straws, man. What do you want from me? But it's just, I don't know that resonated with me a little bit, because the thing is, I go back and forth with Mark Wahlberg, because for Boogie Nights and The Departed and Ted, stuff like that, I go, man, I really enjoy this dude. But for all those movies, there's Daddy's Home, there's Patriots Day, which I know Colin enjoyed. Sorry, Colin, I love you, but that movie blows. I just, he's so back and forth with his shit, and so it's hard to ever really fully commit to the guy as an actor. But I will say, though, he wasn't the most annoying part for me in this movie. I was more annoyed by seeing Anthony Hopkins, man. Sir Anthony Hopkins.
That was tough to watch.
The only knight, the actual only knight in this movie, Sir Anthony Hopkins playing Sir Edmund Burton. And I gotta be honest with you, man, I just, it really made me sad, because for those of you guys who haven't listened to us for years, I bring up Silence of the Lambs decently, a decent amount. It was the first rated R movie I ever saw. It's one of the first movies I remember ever seeing. I saw it when I was 4, which probably wasn't good, but what are you gonna do? But Anthony Hopkins has been one of my favorite actors for years. I think the man is genuinely brilliant. I mean, we talked about on this podcast how I said, wow, when Thor got Anthony Hopkins to play Odin, I went, wow, that's really fucking cool, and I loved him in that role. It felt like if Anthony Hopkins, his character had almost like dementia or Alzheimer's, and they were laughing at him. You know what I mean? It came across very, oh, this old man's crazy, and it bummed me out, to be honest with you, Scott. Yeah, what were kind of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel like he was just, it was, I just didn't really care very much. Like, I just couldn't get into it, and I feel like he was kind of supposed to be the authentic character in this to really draw everybody in to believe the mythology of it, and like the round table, and he turns out to be a part of that family, that lineage, so that's kind of a big reason why he's involved in all of this. But yeah, I was just kind of sad to see him in this movie. Like, I feel like he wasn't given very much. He kind of had a few like little one-liners that didn't really land, and like it was just a little bit of a sad performance, I would say. Like he wasn't like over, like he didn't stick out per se, but it was, I don't know, I didn't enjoy watching him in a Transformers movie, the fifth Transformers installment of, I shall say.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the girl yet. Lauren Haddock plays Vivian Wembley. So uh, apparently Michael Bay really wants to fuck Megan Fox because there's no other
The
reason why.
spitting image,
Dude, it was
holy shit.
creepy. Like this was like this brought me back to another Michael Bay movie. It reminded me of The Island because she looks like a clone of Megan Fox except with bigger boobs and not a hideous thumb. Like this girl.
I wrote in my notes, why can't an ugly girl save the world? Like why? Like we're like, you're trying to sell us on robots here, and you can't sell us on the hot chick in the movie. This girl's like a 12. Like you think she's the head of, like, not to say that attractive girls can't be smart. That's not where I'm going there. But like every single movie, there has to be this like 10 out of 10 who is helping them, and I mean it's just way too unbelievable. They're trying. Like I said, this is a Transformers movies. Robots are turning into cars who turn into like these intelligent AI beings. Like I'm giving it a little bit of wiggle room, but like, just, I mean, try a little bit. It's so easy to see the resemblance. Like when first I'm like, is this Megan Fox's sister or something? Because the resemblance is uncanny.
Yeah. So to bring her up, so she's a professor at, I can't remember.
Oxford.
I think they said Oxford. Yeah. So I don't even remember where she got her degree, and it was like archaeological something or whatever. What made me?
Dick.
Yeah. Wait, did you say it's sucking dick?
Yeah.
Oh well, you know that's probably
PhD and SNSD.
Yeah, there you go. I just
the kids say.
But watching this movie, man. So at first, it felt like they were trying to actually give her something to do, like to actually develop a personality, which they never did with Megan Fox's character. She was there to be hot, and that was it. And lean over Bumblebee, whatever. But what? But come on, man. Can you also think? Let's keep it real, all right? Like what else?
I even almost disagree with you on her acting assessment. I didn't think she was good. There were no good actors in this movie. Like, I'm sorry.
Whoa, let me finish.
Josh Duhamel. Oh God. Like,
let me finish.
All right, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, God, we're talking about practice. Let me get through this. But
sorry, you know me. Sometimes I bust a little early.
I know. Nice. But so they're trying to give her character a little development. It felt like. What they do with the character, so she gets kidnapped by this other Transformer at a point. This French one, which I'm pretty sure is one of the ones that was in Age of Extinction, but now the robot's French, so whatever. I guess like no explanation. I kind of went, all right, cool.
They even say they address the accent and say that like he likes it. Like he's not actually French, but he just has a French accent, just for no fucking reason.
Yeah, I just whatever. So she gets kidnapped and she's in like a like slacks and like kind of a cute top, like not showing a lot, but it was a cute little outfit she had. The moment she gets to Edmund Burton, Anthony Hopkins' character's house, the next scene they slut her up and put her in a cocktail dress, and I went, oh my god. So first off, that implies Anthony Hopkins had a dress her size just laying around, which is a whole nother issue in itself. And the thing is, and then the movie has the nerve to go, oh, like you're wearing that dress? I went, motherfucker, you took the so I just, and it's stuff like that, Scott, where I face palmed like a motherfucker. And Anthony Hopkins' character Edmund Burton, he has this robot that looks exactly like C-3PO, but changed just enough so that they couldn't get sued. What's his name? I don't even remember the robot's name. It doesn't fucking matter. But he's this butler robot, but he is, but he has like they pull.
Percival, I think, is that
I
what it
think
was?
that's it. I don't remember. Sure, and um he's like a sociopath. So they steal that from Sherlock. Like, oh, like I'm a sociopath, but I'm able to keep it together. It's like, oh my god, they're just grabbing whatever fucking can stick, perhaps to the wall, and just flinging it at it. And I don't know, man. I'm gonna throw it back to you. What else? What else?
Few things like Optimus Prime at this point is sort of unrecognizable to me,
Yeah.
and he went from being sort of like a hero character to someone who very much enjoys repeating his name over and over and
Oh
over,
my god, does
which
he ever?
is like the most annoying thing that does. I don't think he has any other lines than saying "I am Optimus Prime" and just like proceeds to kick somebody, or says "I'm Nemesis Prime," which is like what I said earlier. There's 4 people writing this movie. They blew me away to find that out.
Yeah.
Because the coming up with some of these names, Nemesis Prime, Planet Cybertron, yeah, that's very original. Took a lot of time on that one. I there was, let's see, got a little bit of a Bud Light promo in there.
Oh, okay, that was shameless as shit. I forgot to mention that thing. So, yeah, Mark Wahlberg, Cade, he's trained. You know, he's got Transformers, like small ones and all shit. There's this little one that's almost like a dragonfly, and it goes to the fridge, and the fridge is just chock full of ice, refreshing, cool Bud Light.
And his robots are getting beers for him.
Yeah, dude. Okay, Scott, I laughed at that because the only reason I laughed is because I knew when you saw that you're gonna probably say, "Oh my fucking god" out loud. Did you do something like that when you saw that?
Yeah, well, I wrote that shit down. I was like, there's that Bud Light, nice and cold. And you like they open the fridge and like it's all frosty and like like, man, must be hot out there. Could go for one of those ice cold Bud Lights.
Yeah, ice cold, refreshing, cool Bud Light. Fuck the Rockies when you got a Bud.
Seriously.
Yeah, no. I will say the product placement. There, I think there's only one real prevalent theme like that in there, but the movie almost stops to go like, "Hey, Bud Light." It's like, oh man,
Right, and then I mean, it wasn't like over the top, but it was like very clear, and like you could argue that Chevy probably has a sponsorship with them, given that like Bumblebee, they drive around in that car all the time, or whatever cars that they have. I'm sure they get a little bit of they have to pay something for that. But yeah, it distracts you from the movie, and to me, it shows how little integrity they have about the movie itself and trying to keep an actual film and not like an advertisement. So it's bothersome. And like just the robots, I was not impressed with any of the robots they tried to come up with, like the new characters or like the returning characters. God, I'm not gonna remember which fucking robot this guy is, but it's the fat guy that smokes cigars. Do you remember?
Oh
what his
yeah,
name
yeah.
is?
That was Oh wait, let me find him.
Just
That was
'cause-
Hound.
Hound, thank you. This guy has let's see, is this the guy with the brass knuckles? No, sorry, that's somebody else that has. Oh yeah, that's the cop. The cop that has the cop robot. He's got Punish over his knuckles. You got the fucking G.I. Joe fat guy, and they address the fatness, and they kind of roll over that. He's more of like a military artillery sort of dude who shoots lots of bullets and has a beard. Which makes no fucking sense at all, and smokes cigars, and like I get they're trying to humanize these characters, but to a certain point, it's just ridiculous and so unbelievable that it pulls you right out of the movie and being like, wow, this is a silly children's movie. There were kids in the movie and they were laughing their asses off, and I'm glad that they enjoyed it. But for us who don't have the mind of children, it was rough. Like and even like the little BB-8 droid, like you're talking about, it kind of reminded me of Wall-E a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
With the big eyes, and does nothing through the whole movie, and then of course
till the very
fucking
end.
Day.
I would say till the very end.
To the very end, and then it's.
Come on, you've been in this game long enough. And by the way, Cogman was the butler that I was thinking of. But as we kind of wrap this up, let me just throw out one thing that genuinely pissed me off. So Megatron, so they have the Decepticons in like a Transformers jail, which I don't know why they wouldn't just dismantle them, which doesn't make any sense at all. That fact that they have these giant robots that can help destroy the world, just locked away. So, I mean, just off that alone, I went, all right, really?
If there's anything that can hold a Transformer, it's jail.
Yeah, exactly. So when Optimus Prime, when he goes rogue and becomes Nemesis Prime, they turn. I know, man.
Oh, sorry,
but they turn to Megatron. They're like, okay, you hate Optimus Prime, help us bring him down. So Megatron goes, all right, but first you need to assemble my crew. And I went, oh my fucking god. And Scott, I'm gonna tell you right now, dude. So for those of you who don't know, I'm rocking a flat top right now. I got my hair cut about a month ago. I almost pulled my hair out. I went, and then they introduced them Suicide Squad style. Like,
I know. It was like a heist movie.
Yeah, they're like Mohawk. And then so there's one called Mohawk, and just because he has a Mohawk, because why the fuck not? There's one called Nitro Zeus. I went, are you fucking kidding me? Scott,
It's like a Mattel movie. Like it's like a kids. It's almost like a movie at this point. Movie based off the toy. It's like one of those movies at this point. Like let's keep coming up with new characters so that we can sell more toys. So that there are just unlimited kids out there hooked on this movie for the next 17 to come.
Dude, I couldn't believe it. And then I think it's Nitro Zeus. It doesn't fucking matter. I think it's Nitro Zeus who goes. There's a point where they're out trying to find. I think they're trying to find Cade. It doesn't really fucking matter. But one goes like, they bring back those racist robots. Like, hey, what's happening? Like, we out in these streets. I went, Jesus Christ, you were just trying to piss me off. And so that's why when people go, I just want to turn my. So to those people who say, oh, it's 2 hours, I just want to turn my brain off. Fuck you. And I can't stress that enough because you're part of the problem.
And this was 2.5 hours, by the way.
This was 2.5, 2.5 hours. Thankfully, it wasn't 3 like I was hearing, because I was terrified. I thought, oh, good God, if this is 3 hours, I don't know if
I would have murdered somebody if I had to watch a 3-hour Transformers movie. Honestly,
the one thing about this summer, because we were talking about off mic, this summer has not been great for film. We got Spider-Man Homecoming, Baby Driver, and War for Planet of the Apes coming up in the next 3 weeks, thank fucking God. But between Guardians of the Galaxy and Wonder Woman, it's just been booked in with a bunch of shit where the movie community is almost going, hey, let's see if we can get Hunter to finally walk out of this first movie. Because goddamn, between this and The Mummy, Scott, I was so close. I actually watched the last 20 minutes from the hallway. Like right by the door, because I was like, dude, because I was like, I am a ghost when the credits roll, I am gone. And,
that's another thing about this Transformers movie is like I was as soon as those credits started rolling, I was fucking out of there. Like it was like a Looney Tunes cartoon. Like, and so I was halfway out the door and I heard them start talking again. So like I had to just like make my way back, make sure I saw everything, and it was definitely not worth it. I will say that, and it made me sadder just because it's leading up to another one.
Yeah, so I will give this movie a compliment. I will give it a genuine compliment. There is a twist about why the Transformers keep coming back, where if you're aware of the canon, I went, you know what? Okay, I will give you that much. That was one thing. Actually, this is spoilers, so whatever. They pretty much say that the world that the Earth is Unicron, and I went, okay, that actually I will give you guys credit for that. But then they immediately undercut it by saying, oh, we'll talk more about this next time. I went, oh my god, it's like you can't. It's like they can't help themselves. It seems like anytime they start doing something good, they have to immediately undercut it. And the last thing I want to kind of bring up here, and actually I'd say last thing, but I probably got another 5 minutes just in ranting to go on. So they, I don't know the character's name. Oh, Jimmy, I think is what it was. Um, he's this dude who is working for Mark Wahlberg. He this black dude's working for Mark Wahlberg.
Mhm.
You want to talk about coonish as shit? Oh my fucking god, this dude.
He was just a running joke just the entire movie.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. He was just like, he's like, no, he was being black and loud. That was his role. Like, that's what should have been named his character, Black and Loud, because that's really all he did. He's like,
And
so
like
there's
they're getting in, he's like the character they're getting into like a fight, or they're like trying to kill them some robots, and he'll be like, oh my your health insurance doesn't pay for this, does it? Like you told me that is there even a 401k, and you're like, ooh boy, that's
yeah,
rough.
it was very Tyler Perry esque to say the least. I mean, as if I needed another reason to not like these, but and it's shit like that over and over again. And by the way, if you're a fan of Optimus Prime, God help you, because he's in this movie for 15 minutes tops, maybe. You see him at the very beginning and then at the very end. I cannot stress enough. You could go see another movie and walk into this house
Mm-hmm.
like after this, and you would catch pretty much all of his scenes. There is no Optimus Prime in this, and that has been the biggest problem I've had with these movies. They're called Transformers. They're not called humans featuring Transformers. I mean, if you go ahead, go ahead.
Well, there was no sense of team. Like, I feel like when I think of Transformers, I think of Optimus Prime is the leader, and you've got like Bumblebee and all like an assortment of Transformers that like together defend against the Decepticons. And it just didn't feel like that. Like, it didn't feel like it was like Avengers style, where it's like one group versus another. It was just kind of like a hodgepodge of like guns and screen flares. Like it just didn't play out. It's kind of hard to describe, but it didn't play out right.
Yeah, so I will say, um, one of the few bright points for these movies has always been Bumblebee for me, right? I've always really liked Bumblebee, and the big title fight between him and Optimus lasts maybe 5 minutes, and they have this
And the way they turn him back, like, come on, I'm sorry.
yeah, they have this one really stupid thing where uh where Bumblebee, his voice is very feminine, which which almost implies like there's a
It was Siri. I think it was Siri.
yeah, but there's also very hint of like they even say like, oh, you sound like a girl, as if that's a bad thing. So there's that undertone of, oh, like if you're a man, you have to have like you know what I mean. So there's a little nice little other dig on top of that, but then when Bumblebee gets his voice back, it's at the exact right moment when Optimus is about to kill him and Kate. He goes, "I am your best friend" or something like that, and then Optimus Prime just snaps out of it like it's nothing. All he needed to hear is Bumblebee's voice to set him free, and I just, god damn it. So you know what? Getting my final thoughts here, I don't even know what to say about these anymore. And actually, just real quick, the final 15 minutes ish, while there's not a whole lot of emotion behind it, I thought the way it was shot was well done. I'll at least give Michael Bay that. I thought the way the Transformers looked in scale to the humans, it looked a lot more realistic, if that kind of makes sense. They didn't seem they seem bigger, obviously as they should, but they didn't seem just overbearing. So I kind of appreciate the way it was scaled. So look, I mean, there's two or three good things about this movie, but overall, it's just a piece of shit. It's really bad, and I know you guys want to love these movies, but I'm at the point where these movies, like I am with the X-Men movies that aren't Logan or Deadpool First Class. It's okay to let these go. It's okay to expect more. You should expect more. We're at the fifth fucking one, and I don't get how these keep being so genuinely bad. Michael Bay said this is his last one. I fucking doubt it because I'm sure they'll drive another dump truck full of money up to his house and say, "Oh, I can make one more." Like, so I'm gonna say right now, Transformers, it needs an overhaul, man. It needs. I'm gonna tell you right now, it needs a female writer, and I'm not just saying that for the way that they've just fucking made women just look terrible in these movies, but it is long overdue because maybe that's what they need. They need a new, fresh set of eyes on this franchise, someone who might give a shit. But uh, because of the last fight scene, and because I did actually enjoy some of the stuff they did with Bumblebee. Oh god, I just remembered there's a point in the movie where one of the robots is driving and they make a ludicrous move bitch reference, and I about walked out on that alone. I just went, good god. But I'm gonna give this a grade I've never given before. I'm gonna give this an F plus, just
Heyo.
because I thought the last fight scene was filmed well, and there were a few bits and pieces here to keep me from giving it a go fuck yourself, but I couldn't put this above an F plus. Scott, your final thoughts on your grade, sir?
I've been trying to think about things that I actually enjoyed about this movie, and I'm really grasping for straws. There was too many, a lot of the stuff wasn't necessarily blatant either. So I could understand, like, if people wanted to, like, I feel like we know what we're getting out of a Transformers movie at this point, right? Like, there's going to be a ton of action, lots of explosions. Like, if you're in it for that, that's what you're going to get. Like, you're going to get that with a little side of Marky Mark and, like, some underage children and no character development at all. So I think if you go in knowing what this is going to be like and liking that, then you're probably not going to be, like, super disappointed. But like you said, you should expect more. You should want more. And I totally agree. Overhauling this thing is exactly what it needs. What it actually needs is to be put down. And this thing just needs to stop. Like, let's stop this. Or maybe even start up if you want to do, like, a Transformers different universe or something like that, where they can really start over with this thing, because that's what they have to do. Because at this point, like, we're past dinosaurs, right? We're on to the Knights of the Round Table. It's gone too far. Like, it needs this. There's been 5 movies. It's like, it's got to stop, and it's sad because it's not going to, because they're making too much money. So I want to see a like Megatron, Bumblebee, and, like, a few casting characters, like, team movie of, like, these guys really getting together and, like, stopping this immovable force, which, always is something along those lines. I think,
Where you going, Scott? Come on, man.
like I said, I don't think I liked anything about this movie. I kind of like where they went with the history aspect of it, like.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I have to interrupt you. So that. Oh god, you just brought that up. You know what? I gotta get him. Go fuck yourself. I'm sorry. You just brought that up. No, because honestly, Scott, I try so hard not to freak out, like, in movies, even when I'm just not enjoying myself. But when they implied that the Transformers, the Autobots, helped Harriet Tubman with the Underground Railroad, I lost.
Yeah,
my
I was
shit.
wondering. No, I was looking for that. Where was that? I think I might have missed it.
So yeah, so there's that point where they show, they show Harriet Tubman and then Frederick Douglass, and they're like, oh, like, and they cut to like
Right, right, yes.
picture,
Well,
yeah,
it's this so the setting is all basically all the famous like smart minds in history have been like their one main goal was to hide the Transformers secret, right?
yeah, which
Along and like you're saying, along with Harriet Tubman.
the Wiccans. I was like, good
Literally
God.
everything, the Wright brothers, like
Yeah.
Gandhi, like
Yeah,
literally
World
yeah.
War One or the World War Two, pardon me.
Yeah, like everything, any famous person you can think of,
Yeah.
like Tesla, Edison, anybody,
I-
like they all like they're all part of this secret Transformer society.
Scott, I was looking at the screen. I'm like, you've got to be goddamn kidding me. And then you find out that Mark Wahlberg, I guess, is a descendant of Merlin. They're kind of vague on that, because they're like, oh, you're a knight basically because you haven't gotten laid in a while. Which, on top of that,
whoa,
by the
cool,
way,
bro. Whoa, cool, whoa, bro.
yeah. Which, by the way, they go, oh, well, you're virtuous. You haven't had sex in a while. That's a key. It's a key
Yeah, that
thing
was
for
such
knight.
a random. There's so many awkward moments in this movie, just like that, where they're like, it's been a while. Oh, what's a while been? Like they're talking about something else, but obviously referring to like how he hasn't had sex in a while, and it's just weird and awkward and completely unnecessary. Which was, I thought, a lot of the jokes in this movie and like a lot of like
Yeah.
the puns and things were dumb and unnecessary and completely missed. This is a go fuck yourself because I
Yeah.
couldn't find anything I liked about it. Like I was really like I feel like the history aspect of it they could have done a lot better and been like this is actually where like more of an origin like where Transformers come from and like really get into that, but it was more gimmicky than anything else and they used too many tools to try to sell you on it and I just didn't buy into any of it. So fuck you.
That's
Sorry,
fair.
Hunter, not you. Not you, Hunter. I love you, Hunter.
No, I love you too. Yeah, you brought up the history thing. I almost forgot to bring that up because there was just so much other shit that irritated me. But that was genuinely something where I went, oh, wow. So Harriet Tubman, helping free slaves. Guess she needed Bumblebee or whatever. Oh, and by the way, Hitler got killed by a clock, which is another thing.
Right. Yeah, they just throw that in there. Yeah.
Yeah, just my God.
And there's a point when Anthony Hopkins, plays Sir Edmund Burton. He takes the back entrance into Parliament and to the Prime Minister's office. And once he's there, right? So he's like, oh, the Prime Minister sees him and freaks out and calls in security. And he's like super calm and he reaches into his pocket and pulls out this watch, this little robot transformer watch. He's like, if you don't put your guns down, I will release this and it will kill all of us in a matter of seconds. And they're like, oh shit, fuck, like we're sorry, man. Like we'll put our guns. Like how? Like it's a little like stopwatch. This is just like a little chunk of this whole movie of unbelievable slash. It's just I can't take any of it seriously. It's just getting me all giving me agita, get me all riled up.
All right, I'm sorry, but yeah, I gotta give this a go fuck yourself now that you brought that up. I totally forgot about that.
I approve of that rating.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Can you just seriously? This is what you guys need to do. Go out and talk to fans. Ask them what they want because all these movies are so based on the human elements and. That's one thing we were talking about this off mic with the Planet of the Apes movies, which has been maybe the biggest surprise for me in the terms of film, probably in the last decade. Because if you saw the reboot they did with Mark Wahlberg, the Planet of the Apes reboot back in '98 or so, or '99, I believe, really shitty. Never thought they would ever be able to make a great Planet of the Apes movie, and I'll be goddamn if they have. And the reason why those movies work so well is because they are very ape focused because they go, oh, the humans are a nice complementary piece to the apes who are the star of the shows. If they were doing that with these Transformers movies, they'd probably be a lot better. But fuck that. They just have to lean so hard on the humans. And as if the everything else wasn't bad enough, the cherry on the top of the bullshit sundae is Quintessa, Optimus Prime, hits her and she goes flying off into the world or whatever, and then turns herself into a human at the very end. That's the end stinger, and I went, oh my god! I'm like, you just, it's so bad. Just god damn it. So, anyways, so guys, what did you think of Transformers? If you were lucky enough to see this, just God.
By the
Help
way,
me, man.
I totally agree with what you're saying about it not being human centric. If this was about the robots, like if you really got to look into their lives and it followed them around and Mark Wahlberg was just a side piece, then like I think I would have liked that a lot more. And so tell me what you think about the new universe thing, because I feel like kind of how Spider-Man did it. They're just like, fuck that trilogy. We're doing the Amazing Spider-Man, and we're just gonna do it how we want it. Do you feel like that would work with this?
They need to blow this shit up. They
Right,
need to
just
blow
like
it
start
up.
over. Do you feel
Yeah,
like a start over would even help?
yeah. I mean, even if they want to use the Bumblebee movie to be that new start, because apparently that movie's set in the '80s, I'm totally okay with that. If they want to use that to springboard into something new, awesome. But they need to keep Michael Bay the fuck away from these movies because he has been terrible for these movies, and he's turned Transformers into a joke, which is really sad. Because if you actually watch Transformers, there's some good shit there, but they're just not finding it with him. So yeah, blow it up, start over. But guys, let us know what you thought in the comments below. You can follow us here on SoundCloud at the Real Pineapple 775. You can like us on Facebook at the Real Pineapple 775. Actually, at the Real Pineapple. Pardon me. You can follow us on Podbean at the Real Pineapple. Follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. You can follow Mr. Colin O'Neill. We miss you, buddy. Um, Oh yeah, by the way, Colin's not here because much like Derek and Step Brothers, he had an emergency fishing trip. So that's why it's good. That's why Colin's not here. But we miss you, buddy. We'll see you next week. You can follow him at the Real O'Neill, and you can follow Scott on Twitter at.
Newman the First.
Guys, thank you so much. We'll have reviews up for Despicable Me 3, which I should not be excited for, but I love those minions. I fully admit it. We'll have a review up for The House, which is the new Will Ferrell, Amy Poehler movie, which might be good, maybe. And we'll have a review up for Baby Driver, which I thank God that comes out this week. I need a fucking palate cleanser for all this crap we've been seeing recently. But guys, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace.